Hi guys, this is Jeremy Peoples here, and I just decided to do a little video on some advice with pet care. Might seem obvious in some ways, might seem like a lot of repeated information, in which case if you see that information in 1,000 different places, that's generally a good thing. That means you should follow it, because it's probably correct. It's probably like, you know, like a fact, for example. Only not a fact, just logical advice that everyone should follow. Now, I have two cats presently, Gracie and Spud is nearly 18, and Gracie is going to turn 19 on March 3rd. In the case of Spud, she is the cat you will be hearing doing that, meowing very loudly throughout the video. Thank you, Spud. Very helpful. Now, she is nearly 18 years old. If she decides to come over here, you'll be able to see her. She is not going to do that. She's going to hop on her chair. Well, anyway, I have picked up a great many little tips, little bits of advice I think can help all pet owners. Now, this mainly applies to cats because I've had them as long as I can remember. I've had dogs still, but I haven't had a dog in 21 years now? Yeah, about 21 years. So, I'm going to go with cat advice, and this is pretty general stuff. You can apply it to dogs too. Sorry about that, folks. Got done shoveling a lot of snow in the East Coast. We've been hammered by snow in the last couple of days. I spent about 40 minutes a day shoveling snow. That was not the most fun thing, and I did not follow my own advice, or advice I planned on taking when I was walking over and shoveling snow, of actually taking an leave when I came back. Probably should have done that. My back's kind of hurting. Anyway, on to cat advice, and not me advice, which is just, if you have a pet and they are acting in any way strange, okay, take them in. Now, it might seem kind of scary. I can't afford a last-minute vet visit. Hey, I couldn't. That's why I set up a GoFundMe. Okay, vet costs can be very pricey. Now, one great thing about doing all that, beyond realizing, hey, it's time to change up some things here, and try some new things, because what you're doing isn't exactly working, so do something new, and then maybe something new will occur, like something good, for example. Now, when I took them in, I saw on, when I took Spud in, rather, I noticed they had a $1 promotional offer for new patients. And this doesn't really apply to me. I'm taking the pressure off my back here. I'm currently leaning on the wall, and that is, or on the little groove here. That's not comfortable. That does not help my back. There we go. Now I'm much more comfortable. Now, when it comes to vet expenses, they can be really crazy. When I had, when Gracie was dealing with diabetes, she was going in, and I didn't know what it was going to cost, you know. And with this $1 promotion, I was like, hey, you know what? This is a brilliant way for people to come in the door. And my advice is, if you've got a vet around you and you need to go to a vet, ask if they have a promotional offer. It might seem like something that they wouldn't offer, and in some cases the website's not going to mention it. But if you really feel like your cat needs to go to a vet, definitely ask about it. And if nothing else, you might be able to work out a payment plan. If you can't do that, then at least see if they have a promotional offer, and if it's $1 or if it's free, because there's one near here that's free. If you have a Bancroft, something like that. I should have, researched it. It's something like that. It's something with a B, and it's a fairly national chain, so it's it should be, well known. But either way, ask your vet, especially if you have a rapport with them, for some kind of a promotional rate. Even if you just run into a little temporary hiccup with money, your pet doesn't need to suffer due to that. I know it's a very harsh way to put it. That's how I felt when I realized, well, these things kind of happen, But I don't want my cats to suffer because of that. And, when it's just a quick issue like that, when it's just something that it could be minor, you want to make sure it's minor. And our first cat, Rocky, was very much like Spud, but much, much, much older, in a way, a practical way. He was an indoor-outdoor cat. We went on vacation in '93, and we had to rush back due to a hurricane. And luckily we did, because we came back and he had a large bloody abscess on one of his feet. And we took him in, and they said, hey, it's a good thing you brought him in. He'd have lost his foot. Now, for an indoor-outdoor cat, that would have been devastating, and he wound up living 13 more years. So, one thing I'm going to tell you here is, if you've got a cat and it has a really big health scare like that, it's not the end of the world. He lived, a long time, and a good time, a good long time after. It's not like he existed or he suffered for 13 years. He was in good health from the vast majority of those 13 years until his kidneys started going bad. Now, that's a tricky one, because we didn't notice the weight loss until the last week of his life. That's when it started to be noticeable. He was a lean cat, and we didn't notice any weight loss until the last week. We brought him in, and they said, well, unfortunately, he's not eating or drinking right now because he has ulcers on his mouth, and he's got renal failure. And we were thinking, oh, he's just got the mouth ulcers. The renal failure was a complete and total shock, and there was nothing we can do about it, and he was only going to have 2 more weeks. So that was a very, very hard decision, but also a very easy one, because we knew, okay, we're doing the right thing for Rocky, And I also, if you are unfortunately in a situation where you have to put your pet down, get some kind of memorial. Excuse me a minute, I will get Rocky's ashes. Hello, Spud. I love you, buddy. Yes, you're my little cutie pie. Come on over here. Hop over this. There you go. Play with your mommy for a little bit. Okay? Play with your mommy. Lie down. Nice and relax. Okay? There you go. There you go. There you go, kitten. Now here, there we go, there's focus. Here's the little box that we got for Rocky. And it's got his name, the vet we got it done at, and it was a couple $100, and it's something that I don't regret getting, because inside, I'm not going to tilt it too much, but we've got his ashes, we've got little bits of fur. It might seem strange, we had some from his comb, so it's like, okay, we're going to put that in there too. And it was money well spent. It was only, I think it was $200, and it might sound like a lot, and it is. $200 can be a lot of money, but that $200 was good for us then, and it's good now. I can look over there and I see his urn, his ashes next to hers, next to my mom's, and it's like, okay, that's a good thing, Perfect? Of course not. You're talking about urns and ashes, never a perfect circumstance, but it helps to have it there. With the death of a pet, you're going to go through the same steps, the same grieving you go through with a human being. And it's harder at times because you're around them so much more than your relatives. In a lot of cases. Downside to recording these late at night. Benefit, of course, is unlike a video I did a couple days ago, you're not blinded by sunlight. With a pet, especially when you've had a long time, it's going to take time. Don't rush it. You're going to have to go through them. You're going to have to go to work and all that and get work done. But you can't rush the grieving process. It's going to take however long it takes. And everyone grieves differently, and the pain's going to be there to recall at any time, and that's sometimes a good thing, because you're always going to be reminded, and you're going to be taken back, and you can go, I have grown so much since that date, or I have learned so much from that date, and you can look back with a sense of pride. And it's never easy to lose anything or anyone in your life, and once again, I'm leaning on this thing, and I shouldn't be, but it's like, I don't know, I kind of like the position my feet are in. Anyway, if you're like trying to have a kid to deal with, if you're trying to help a kid deal with their grief, it's just into kitty or doggy heaven, and you're not going to see them again, but they can see you, and they love you so much, and all that kind of good stuff. Because the main thing is they don't want to think that the pet's suffering or in pain, And with Rocky, my mom and I took that death so hard. I mean, he was just the greatest cat. He walked me to the bus stop from 5th grade through high school. It's a long time in someone's life, in terms of growth and all that. And then, when he got really, really old, for the last 6 months or so, we didn't let him fight. We didn't let him go outside, rather, because he was getting into fights and losing. Now, if you've got an indoor-outdoor pet, be very, very careful with them. Make sure pleased that they're tagged. They have a good quality collar. They have these safety collars now. They're great in theory. They can fall off just through getting food. You know, I've got collars on my cats every now and then. I don't do it daily, but if I notice that they're kind of heading towards the foyer, what I do is always put a collar on them just in case. Because Gracie's a bit of an indoor-outdoor, 99.999% indoor, but you know, she does occasionally want to go out. And I don't let her unless I hold her. And that's something I would recommend doing. It might seem a little weird to carry your cat around with you for a little bit, but if they seem genuinely curious and going outside, you can fully control the environment they're in by holding them. Now, this is key. You do still have them with a collar on, any good one, because if you don't have a leash, you want to make sure you always hold on to the collar. When I did this with Spud recently, I'll just grab her collar here, loop the collar, and I just, I'm just going to actually grab the latching part, because it's here, but, just grab a portion of it to make sure that you have full control of their body at all times. Because you don't want to run any kind of a risk of your cat falling out of your arms, either getting injured or suddenly deciding, hey, you know what, I can just run around and do whatever I want. That's not what you want, okay? That's bad. So, if you can kind of avoid that, please do. Now, when it comes to just general care of a cat, a lot of it's common sense, Give them some toys to play with, give them some catnip every now and then, and play with them a little bit, If you're an older pet owner, or you've got an affliction, you can't physically play with them, they might need something else. They might need another cat to help them out. Now, the problem with another cat, of course, is that that's another mouth to feed / body to heal and treat and all that. That's an issue. I've been kind of used to one of them being iffy and then the other not. With Spud now having some minor issues. For an 18-year-old cat, she's doing really well. But when Gracie was having her problems, I was like, okay, well, thankfully, Spud's healthy, and now Spud's healthy but iffy because her body's starting to decline a little, and it can cause expenses just get insane. And one thing I would recommend is a huge one. See if your vet has a preventative care plan. When I took Spud in, one thing that I was concerned about, one reason I was so glad there was so much built up in the GoFundMe, was I knew the exam was going to be about $300 for all the testing. And I thought, well, that's a little on the high end. That's a lot of money. That's $300, So when I got the pitch of, hey, for 44, with my got here Ridge Lake, around the corner, $44 a month, and this is free. You get all this thrown in, and there's more value in there. Beyond what I did for the 300. I thought, well, that's a no-brainer, $44 a month, it's a high end on a membership thing. If you think of it like that, yeah, sure, would you spend $40 on Netflix? No. You know what matters more than Netflix? Pet health. And when it's something that can be prevented, in this case it was more of a kind of a paranoid, something's a little off, but I can't put my finger on it kind of thing. But you want to be on the safe side. It was a no-brainer. It was an easy decision to make. And in this particular, in Ridge Lake's case, they have two different tiers. They have 90 that covers dental, and then 44 that doesn't. So, it's a different thing. If you've got a cat with a bad tooth, like Spud, I should have, in hindsight, gone with a 90. I can just bring her in whenever and do the deal. She's starting to get older. She's starting to decline a little, and that's weird for me because I'm used to her being in perfect health and being the world's oldest little kitten, and kind of like Dick Clark. You get used to the agelessness, and then the second age hits, it's like, wait a minute, whoop, this is shocking. This is a radical change, and even though in proportion, it's not a huge deal. But compared to perfect health, minor problem suddenly becomes huge, in your head, but it's really not, unless there's some kind of outward sign. And with her, the main concern I have is weight loss. And weight loss is something you want to watch out for. If their diet isn't changing much, their weight loss could be due to many, many things. Spud's could just be due to not liking the food. It's DM, she likes it. probably due to a dental issue. That's my gut. If you've got the ability, and really you do, if you just get some rubber gloves, I know it's kind of icky, but check your cat's mouth every now and really get a toothbrush. And I know the idea of brushing your cat's teeth is not the most fun thing. They make toothbrush. They also make little finger brushes. You put them on the edge of your finger. You brush their teeth. If they're not down with toothpaste, at least do some water. Although you really should do some toothpaste so they can get some real benefits in the cleaning. Otherwise, you're just annoying them and they're not getting their teeth really helped out much. But it's kind of better than nothing. You can at least try to get some plaque removed that way. It's not going to work really well. Now there's also Oravet. That's usually going to run you about 50 bucks, maybe 60. That's a preventative. That's a really good thing. It's kind of, I guess I liken it to like Vaseline you put on the teeth in terms of the consistency. And that's going to protect them a bit. And that's good. And you also need to, again, I'd recommend using rubber gloves. They give you an applicator, but cats are generally going to run from that because they, I don't know if they think it's like a thermometer or something. It's like, no, it's not that. It's not going there. But I've never had any luck with the applicator with my cats. I just always put a little bit on a nice, clean rubber glove. Do not, like, folks, obviously, do not reuse these rubber gloves, okay? They're like 100 for 10 cents, basically. So just buy a lot of rubber gloves because, even you can use them for cleaning the house or whatever. Or you can just actually get gloves for that, but, if you're just doing little odds and ends cleaning, you don't really need that. Anyway, back to pets. If you notice any kind of a decline, just ask them and say, hey, do you think I should be worried about this? Because anyone in the vet's office is going to have some inkling, They're going to know, hey, yeah, bring them in, or don't. I bring mine in because they're right around the corner, so I don't have to worry about, okay, it's a giant gas expense, I can't do that. No, I just walk around the corner and I bring them in. The advantage of that is you build up a rapport, you're a lot more comfortable. It's not, you don't dread going to the vet. You don't think of it as, oh, I've got to go to the vet, and it's this great big thing. It's just like, I'm going around the corner. Same as, you're going to the grocery store, pretty much. It's not really a huge deal, it's just something you do. If you've got an older pet, definitely do the every 6 months thing. It can be pricey, so you do have to kind of, if you have 2 pets or more, folks, don't have too many pets. I know it's tempting, okay? At one point we had 6 cats, okay? We had all of Gracie's kids, all 3 of them. We had Gracie herself, we had Rocky, and we had our cat Zenith. Kind of pricey, a lot of litter, which was expensive. I recommend going with the gigantic jumbo bags of Tidy Cat, because you're going to look at spending this, I think, a 15-pound bag of it, maybe 20 pounds, whatever it is, was only $5 there. Whereas if I have to go to MS Food Line, if I have to go to 7-Eleven for something, I did today, just to have a little backup supply. That was $5 just for 10 pounds, and that's not horrible. That's 50 cents a pound. That's not great, but it's not awful. It's actually better than Amazon's pricing on litter. In some cases, if you don't do pantry, it can be 15 bucks, as I found out a few weeks ago. Kind of regret that. Shop around for litter. There's more advice. Also food, and if your cats need, they need any kind of, like Gracie's on diabetic food. They have 2 kinds of that. They have regular DM and savory. Savory is in chunks. Regular is a big pate block. My cats don't like the pate block. They like the savory kind. So, find a kind of food your cats like. You're going to go through a couple. You might go through a case or 2 just trying to experiment. See if your vet has a buyback program, Odds are they will buy some of it back or all of it. And maybe they won't, but they might. It's worth checking into. Also, do not, unless you absolutely positively have no other option, do not buy food that is not directly from your vet or from a reputable place. Now, Amazon does sell some of these prescription-only foods. That's worrisome. Where are they getting this stuff from? How old is it? You're not going to find out on the pages, and that's worrisome to me. Is it nice it's available? In theory, yes. However, it's very expensive. You're paying for not having a prescription, essentially. And if you're buying something that's prescription only and you don't have a prescription, you could just be wasting all of your money. Unless you're just unless you know it's something you need, but you still, only go with places that sell food reputably. I can't even think of any right now. Is 1-800-PET-MED still a thing? I know there are some, but only buy food from your vet, from places they recommend. PetSmart, actually, I believe, is a place you can buy some of the prescription foods from Purina. But for me, it's just easier to go to them. Go to Ridgelake and do it, because it's around the corner, and PetSmart is like a 10-minute cab ride or ride, and that's either a scheduling issue or very time-consuming or very costly. So yeah, it just makes sense to me for me to do that. If you've got a younger pet, just make sure you feed them often. They're tiny, they're growing. Just keep them healthy. And beyond that, I really can't think of anything offhand. Notice anything, if anything seems a little weird, like if they're limping, have them checked out. It could just be a quick dislocation. Might be something more, though. Spud had that a few years ago, where she was limping around, but every time I brought her in fairly quickly, the issue was gone. So it's like, well, we can't detect it unless we do x-rays, which are kind of pricey. So you don't want to do this unless you need to. My advice is just to, look at your pets. In summation there, just look at your pets, see if anything seems a little weird, and if it does, bring them in. If it doesn't, cool. You're good, and you can kind of enjoy their company without worrying. But if you start worrying about them, you might have a reason, even if it's just in the back of your head, and you're like, boy, that animal's a little weird today. Could be something minor, could be something major. In 2001, Rocky was acting really weirdly. He was very violent, very angry, and he was hiding from us. And Rocky was the sweetest and most adorable cat in the universe, and he was very friendly and outgoing and loved Spud, and loved all furry woodland creatures. Actually loved dogs too. Very, very unique cat for me. But he was just not himself at all. So we brought him in, and we're like, oh my God. At that point, we'd had him 15 years. Indoor, outdoor, 15, you're kind of thinking, actually it was about 16 or 17 because he was fully grown. So he was, he's pretty old at that point. And we're like, okay, now it's time. It's over. He's gone. We couldn't even find him for a while. It was scary. And we found him. We rushed him in at like 1 in the morning to a 24-hour vet, and they said, okay, he just has a little infection. And they just shaved his back a tiny bit, gave him some antibiotics, and he was fine and lived 5 more years. So sometimes you're going to have these crazy things go on, and it seems like a huge issue, and it's just a very simple problem to fix. So, even if you're worrying about the cost, don't, because it might not be all that costly. You could wind up making it much, 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 much worse by not bringing them in. Always bring them in, and if it's a money issue, just ask ahead and say, hey, can I pay them installments? Because they'll get their money back over time, and you get the veterinary care you need, your pet gets the veterinary care you need, and it works out well, So that's all of my advice for right this very minute in time. Hope you found it useful. If you did, like the video, share it, tell your friends, and if you have any ideas for more how-to videos or how-to and advice videos or anything like that, just let me know. Take care.